Deep Shot Podcast, Season 4, Episode 33.
Boom. That's exactly what I was about to say. I've been sitting on that one. I was thinking about it just the other day. I was like, who can I do for 33? And it's like, it's got to be Michael Turner. Another 33, Larry Bird. If we want to get basketball's
There's
Larry
the
Bird.
we're all looking for.
There was, I don't know if y'all saw this. It was on ESPN the other day, but there was like this Larry Bird documentary on. And like, we all know that Larry Bird is like awesome, right? Like we all know that. But sometimes you just have to remind yourself that white boy could hoop, man.
He's good. He's so good. I had a relative of mine at a Thanksgiving on Wednesday, just randomly out of nowhere. He's like, dude, look at this. Show me his phone. It's Larry Bird highlights. I swear.
It's awesome.
Oh, man. Well, that is great. Welcome to another episode of the Deep Shot Podcast. Rivalry week is complete in college football. The NFL Week 13, we'll talk about that a little bit later, but we've got to start off because some big news has been breaking all morning long as we're recording this around noon. Lane Kiffin officially going to LSU. It seemed like we had known this since yesterday. It seemed like that was the whole thing. That seems like the hold up. But the big news is he's not going to be coaching Ole Miss the rest of the way. Now, who knows? If that would have changed, if Ole Miss would have made the SEC championship, I have a feeling it may have changed if they did, but we'll never know because they're not. But he is leaving. It seems like that this was inevitable. Some people said weeks ago that this was his choice over Florida. Just want to point that out. We'll talk about Florida in a second, but this is a big, big moment because now we have to think who's Ole Miss going to hire as head coach, as we had three big head coach hires just going off the board, as Auburn got Golish, Florida got Summerall, Arkansas just hired the Memphis head coach, Silverfield. So Ole Miss is now going to have to find a head coach, and who's going to be leading them through the playoffs. This has just been a developing story for about a month or 2 months now. It's finally over. Lane Kiffin is going to LSU in a move that I don't fully support because of I've talked about this on the podcast that, 10 years ago, we saw the same episode with Lane Kiffin, and he finally got his life back and everything, and he used to talk so nice about Oxford and everything, and now he's going back he's not going back, but he's going to a place where, hey, bud, you lose 3 games, you're out of here. You need to win a national championship now, which I don't know if you guys know, Lane Kiffin's never won a national championship or been to an SEC championship, or, so there's going to be some pressure. But what do you guys think?
Man, where do you even start? This is such a big thing. So number one, I love the question of who is going to lead Ole Miss through the rest of the playoff, because I do think that was something that Lane wanted to do. I think that's the reason why it took so long, because I think his number one decision was, okay, I'm going to go to LSU, but I don't want to just leave these guys high and dry, especially if they're about to go to the SEC championship game. Caleb was talking about it before the podcast started. You got to imagine that's probably why it took all day yesterday. They were probably expecting it to be like if Texas A&M would have won on Friday, then there's no way that Ole Miss gets into the SEC championship game. So that was probably part of it. And if that was done, it would have been a lot less drama. So I don't know. That's interesting. I'll say just one little hypothetical I want to throw out here, and it would just be so funny because the reason why Lane Kiffin left Ole Miss for LSU is one reason. He does not believe that Ole Miss can win a national championship. That is clear as day. That is the only reason he'd leave. Ole Miss has already publicly said that they would match any financial offer he got. So it's not about the money. So let's think about a hypothetical here. What if Ole Miss and Trinidad Chambliss and all these guys gel together and they say, you know what, screw it. We're coming together. We're going to do it. And they go out and win a national championship game. I don't think that's going to happen. Just for the record, that would be crazy. But just imagining a world where Ole Miss goes out and gets hot and wins 4 in a row and wins the Natty, that'd be pretty awesome. That would be pretty awesome. Freaking awesome.
Fully support that happened.
They're 11-1. They're 11-1. This is a dang good team. And the only game they lost was in Athens, and a game they could have won if things didn't go a little bit haywire in the fourth quarter. This could be a 12-0 team.
Easily. I love that hypothetical, by the way. I would love to see them at least, maybe not a national championship, but Final Four. If we can get if we see Ole Miss in the Final Four, that would be, that would just be crushing him, especially if things don't start out hot in Baton Rouge. But Caleb, what do you think?
Yeah. Especially, I think it'd be just from a baseline, if they win their home playoff game, because they're going to get one, that would be sick in itself. You don't want to see them get ousted in the first round because the players are just not up for the challenge. But seems like the rumor is that the players are pissed off about this whole situation. Everybody's mad over there, so maybe it's the time for them to gel. Wild month, right? Of everybody being able to keep up with this, and we've been tracking Lane. Everybody's been talking about the planes here and there, and his kids visiting. all that came about, and it came crashing down at the end of this week. And my honest takeaway from this is I feel like he just burnt every last bit of image recreation that he did over the last 5 years in about a week. Like, Ole Miss is going to hate him forever. He's now the villain because he went to LSU. Obviously, he's going to be hated in half of the SEC. I mean, I'm sure the coaches will be fine with him, but to pull the brat move of, hey, I'm going to take all the offensive coaches if you don't let me coach Ole Miss through the playoffs, and then telling them also as well, if you guys don't get on the plane with me tomorrow, your ass is not coming to Baton Rouge anytime soon. I mean, once that stuff gets out publicly and we figure out how nasty this thing actually got, and then my question to Lane is like, what were you actually waiting on? Is it really going to sway you if they were to play the SEC championship game? Was it really going to make that big of a difference? I don't see how that would have been the case. Mind blowing to me. And I'll tell you, and we're going to talk about the Florida part of it too. What's more mind blowing is I still feel like Florida fumbled this shit because if my sources are correct, they had a memorandum of understanding on Wednesday that Lane sent to Gainesville, and they sent it back because they changed something in the damn deal. And then he asked for more time, and then the lead donor at Florida said, you got until the Egg Bowl to tell us yes or no. And when did it leak that he was out of the running right before the Egg Bowl? So I don't know what was what, and I don't know if he actually still had Florida in consideration. Nobody's going to fucking know, to be honest with you. And at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter because everybody's got their guy and it's settled. But is Lane Kiffin really all that in a bag of tricks? That would be the question I'd ask for LSU fans. And I know I've been sitting here parading about him for months because if you hadn't seen what my team's been doing here recently, I mean, we embarrassed Florida State last night, which is apparently easy to do, except for Alabama. Alabama can't do that. But we've been miserable over the last couple of years, and Lane Kiffin's done nothing but bring a team that you can say whatever you want to, but Ole Miss has never had any kind of history and brought them to the forefront of college football in 5 years. So, and all that personal stuff, the personal development things, the yoga and all this and that, it's a good brand to follow, I think, and it would have been good for Florida. But this thing could get south quick. Like I have a slight feeling he'll be fired at LSU in the next 4 years if he doesn't win something big soon.
Yeah.
It absolutely is a possibility. And what I just can't get over is I think Ole Miss can win a national championship. I don't get why he disagrees. Because again, this team's 11-1. The only loss was by one score in Athens. And
I think it comes down to your point that is watching Saban on game day yesterday and him talking about the whole situation, which I texted you guys. He seemed like he kind of gave it away when he was, egging on that he should be able to coach the playoffs. But it's basically come down to how you get more talent. Ole Miss, his whole time there, he has been transfer portal heavy, and he has just been basically getting everything out of the transfer portal. And at LSU, it seems like it kind of just recruits itself sometimes, which is what Saban was saying. Obviously, he was there, won a national championship there. So I think that's the only big thing. But I do agree that I think in this day and age with everything going on, I mean, we've got teams like, Vandy just got their first 10-win season. Obviously, Ole Miss, Virginia can make the playoffs. Like all these situations that we just usually don't see that can happen and put you in a good spot. And obviously, like you said, 8-11-1 is just mind blowing. And I just keep going back to we've seen this movie with Lane Kiffin before, and after all he's done, it just seems like he's put himself in a bad spot. But hey, if Lane now, if I'm LSU, I'm really happy, and that's you got to get the top candidate. So I'm not going to dog him for that. I just think the more and there's people that say and for like Lane for sorry so for when Saban is saying that he should be able to coach through the playoffs, I disagree. Like if he was going to the NFL or if he was going to, UCLA or something else, like another school, like not that wasn't going to play Ole Miss every single season, then sure. But no, dude, I don't. What did you guys think before we move on? What did you guys think? Did you guys think he should have been able to coach to the playoffs?
Hell no. No. It'd be different. I think it'd have been different if he went to Florida because they're not a rival. But this is like you're talking about, like LSU's been playing Ole Miss for years. Like that is a rivalry game that is circled on the calendar the last couple of years for both teams. Okay, and there's been a lot of fireworks in that. You don't think that those kids at Ole Miss are already thinking, like Trinidad Chambliss already thinking, I wonder what etouffee tastes like. You know what I'm saying? Like There's got to be that wonder already, because what are they going to do? Stay with Pete Golding or Joe Judge or whoever's running the show in Ole Miss? I think it would be a complete lack of interest in their own interest for Ole Miss to say, hey, Lane, you can do what you want and you get to do this as well. You can't have your cake and eat it too. Like, to me, that was part of their negotiation was like, well, look, you got this run. You got this right here in front of you. You can say yes right now to us, just sign the extension, be done with it, and you can continue to coach the playoff. And hell, if you want to leave next year, do it. You'd be in the same situation then, but instead they did not give him that, and good for them. Good for Ole Miss, I think, to stand their ground and say, "Hey, you're not just gonna get to do whatever the hell you want to just because you came over here and won a couple games."
Mm-hmm. Agreed. And just hypothetical here, if Lane Kiffin did not go to LSU, who would LSU's head coach be today?
Frank Wilson, the interim. I swear to you. I mean, it'd either be him or it'd probably be they would have stole Summerall at the last second.
Yeah, I was going to say Summerall because of that the Louisiana connection. I feel like that would be an easy move to make.
Just hired Ed O again, man. What's the problem?
Yeah, there were rumors that he's going to be coming to join Lane Kiffin a couple weeks ago when they were talking about it.
See
okay,
about that.
Before we get into the games, there are the other head coach hirings that just happened this morning. Alex Golesh, the South Florida head coach, he has signed with Auburn. He'll be heading over there. You know, obviously has a really good offense, and Auburn wants to kind of find their offense again. And then Arkansas has hired Ryan Silverfield, the Memphis head coach who was dissing Georgia early in the season. If you guys don't remember seeing that clip and talking shit about Georgia's driving record. So fuck that guy. Hope Arkansas loses a bunch of games. But the big one that we need to talk about, because our guy Caleb has finally found his new head coach, John Summerall, the Tulane head coach. Who are they going to let him finish out his season if he makes playoffs?
Well, they're at least going to let him coach the conference championship game. I'm not sure about the rest of the playoffs. I don't see why the hell not, unless he's just got to coach football games over there. So, signing day is this week. I don't know if people are aware of that, or it's coming up very, very, very soon. You know, whatever worries people may have about, affecting a recruiting class, I'm just going to be honest with you. It's probably going to bomb the recruiting class as it is already. So the only thing that he could do is get a couple weeks ahead on the OC hire, and I'm sure he can work on that just as well in Louisiana as he could here. So I fully expect – I think it'd be great if he goes over there and wins a game or two. Personally, I mean, obviously you want him to win the conference championship and continue his winning ways leading into the next job, but to sit there and say, hey, you can't coach the playoff, this is not, LSU's coach being stolen from Ole Miss. Mm-hmm. This is Tulane's coach going to Gainesville.
I'll just say this, Caleb. I think it's a great hire. I think John Summerall is a great coach. I think this will be good. And what's even better is it's something new, right? Florida has never hired a group of 5 head coach from the state of Louisiana. That's something that we've never seen before. So I'm interested to see how it goes,
Agreed. Caleb, you were upset a little last night. I mean, you were talking fire Scott Strickland. I mean, what is the overall? I mean, he's the best candidate behind Lane Kiffin, it seemed like. Out of everybody else available, maybe James Franklin you can make an argument for. But it seemed like John Summerall, out of all the, other people, was the hottest name. So you got that guy. So you did beat out Auburn. You did beat out Arkansas. You still have that title for you. But, are you disappointed? What are the overall feelings?
I'm disappointed in the people that run the damn show down there, because it came down to Gary Condren and Scott Strickland not doing their job. Like, they hired Turnkey, which if people don't, nobody's gonna know this, but Turnkey is a consulting source of they help people find coaches for their jobs. Like when Lincoln Riley got moved from Oklahoma to USC hired Turnkey. All the big moves that you've seen over the last 5 years, Turnkey's done. Turnkey took Florida off their website this morning. Why do you think that is? It's because Summerall wasn't their guy. And they also allegedly, this is all allegedly, Lincoln Riley's reps tried to get him involved in the Florida job, and Florida told him no. Are you kidding me? So that's my frustration. Like, it feels like we're just a joke of a team. Gary Condren was he's the biggest booster that screwed this whole thing up with Lane or whatever. And he said months ago when we fired Billy that we're going to spend like a top 5 team. We just hired Summerall for $7.5 million. He's the 10th highest paid head coach in the SEC. So we're still doing the same thing that we were doing with Billy. There's not a commitment to actually going out and being great. I think that he's got to show me a damn good offense coordinator for me to buy any stock in him not getting fired in 3 years. That's my feeling. I'm tired of the group of 5 stuff. And I know John Summerall is a good coach and he's defensive minded, and I get he's working with great people. I tried to go listen to a little bit of his stuff like this morning once I kind of accepted that he's going to be my head coach. And I think he can coach his ass off. I mean, you look at what he's done at Tulane this year, and we're talking about Tulane, right? But they lost, for anybody that's sitting at home, they lost Mackay, or what is that dude's name? Mackay
Oregon.
At Oregon. They lost Darian Mensah. Their tight end is the starting tight end at Miami this year, and he's got those guys back in the conference title game. So he obviously knows how to recruit, evaluate those recruits, and develop them. That's something that's been missing from Florida. He's got to hire the rest of the staff right, though. So the hay is not in the barn yet on my feelings on Summerall. As of right now, though, I'm a little underwhelmed just because I thought I was going to get Lane Kiffin and then entire Ole Miss staff not named Pete Golding, but not going to happen.
Yeah. I mean, I'll say this, Caleb. Obviously, what I said earlier was a little sarcasm because of the Sunbelt Billy. But truly, just being honest here, I think it's a good hire. I really do. Because outside of Lane Kiffin, outside of, why am I blanking?
James Franklin. I mean, anybody.
Sorry. Outside of Lane Kiffin, outside of Big Game James, who else would you want? You're not going to want Brian Kelly. He needs a job. You would be quite upset about that. So why not take, John Summerall? He has gotten Tulane over the last 2-3 years. I mean, they have been all over the place. He's turned them into a really good team, and Tulane has never been good. So I get why you're frustrated because Florida was, supposed to get that big name and turn this program around overnight. I don't know. I can't see another direction because, we did try and tell you like a month ago that LSU was a better job than Florida.
Even with all that went on with LSU, there was 2 weeks where it seemed like LSU was the worst place to be in the world. And Lane Kiffin.
And then they ponied up and paid Brian Kelly this week. They were just like, all right, buddy, you can have your cash. I honestly wish that the boosters at Florida or whatever Scott Strickland actually did not go on, and it came down to him truly picking. Because now I feel like I don't know. And yeah, maybe the LSU job is a better job. You go and look at that thing though, like his flash in the pan. They've won more natties over the last couple of years, sure, but man, instability usually turns away coaches. But you know what? There's one coach in America that does like a very unstable situation. Clearly, his name's Lane Kiffin. So maybe they're match made in heaven. Who knows? I mean, if you go back and look at the guys that we like, I'm sitting here pulling up on Twitter like hot boards of who wanted who. Kiffin was 1-1 the whole way. Then you got Eli Drinkwitz, extension, James Franklin, Virginia Tech, Clark Lee, extension, Brent Key, fizzled out at the end of the year. So, maybe we did get the best guy on the board.
All right. Well, that is enough head coach talk. Let's talk about the games that were played this past weekend in rivalry weekend. Not a lot of upsets other than the one we're going to talk about here first. Texas beats Texas A&M 27-17. Texas finishes the season undefeated at home, while A&M, unable to complete the undefeated season, falls to 11-1. Also out of the SEC championship game, which, I was rooting against A&M all year pretty much. I do feel awful that you are 11-0 and you lose the last game of the season and that knocks you out of the conference championship game. I do feel bad for them in that regard. Game was a tale of two halves, so A&M had the Texas offense early in this game looking like they've been looked, back early in the season. I mean, they had to punt on 5 of their first 6 drives, but in the second half, switch flipped, and Texas's first 3 drives out the gate went field goal, touchdown. A&M had to punt on 4 straight times to start the second half. Everything had went the other way. Texas established the run really well in this game, 218 yards rushing. Wisner had a great game. Arch had made some big plays. The game-sealing run at the end to go up 2 scores. Really cool to see for Arch. He's had the up-and-down year, but he seems like he's really getting on the right track. I feel like next year will be fun for Texas. Marcel Reed, on the other hand, this game was still in reach, and he threw some awful interceptions at the end of the game. 2 on back-to-back plays. I mean, we saw exactly what his problem has been really all of November, you could say, just very inconsistent, and it bit them hard in DKR Stadium on Friday night. I mean, if he takes care of the football in those situations, they have a real shot of winning that game. They're down 10. He throws one when they're in the red zone, and then they get the ball back immediately, and he throws another one. So, the bummer for A&M, really. If they're going to go to the playoff, they're probably going to get a home playoff game, which now none of all these projections that we had, nobody was talking about A&M having a home playoff game, really. So that's something you have to, pencil in there. I do think, just to say this real quick, I do think that the discussion that Texas wants to have about them making the playoffs, I think there's a lot of valid points in it. there's just not enough spots in the playoffs. But I do think that what they're saying about having to not play, if they would have just played, Louisiana Lafayette instead of playing Ohio State week 1, they are in the playoffs. And I thought, when the whole you say you lost the Florida thing, I think Sarkisian had the answer of answers to that question in his press conference when he says, okay, well, Notre Dame lost to Northern Illinois last year at home, and no one batted an eye for them. They went national championship. So great argument there. Just don't think 3 losses is going to get them in. Either way, that A&M stat of not playing any top-tier SEC teams proved to be very true.
Yeah, I mean, they played the bottom 6 teams in the SEC, and then they played Missouri, who is 8th in the SEC. So I'll hand up. I was wrong about Texas A&M. I actually thought they were a good team. I mean, I will say a few weeks ago when they played South Carolina and they were down 30 to 3 at halftime. That was, I think, what you saw. But then the second half, they looked so good. It's like, oh man, what's happening? But yeah, tough for A&M to beat 11-0 and not even go to your conference championship. And meanwhile, you got the Duke Blue Devils that are 7-5 and going to be playing the nightcap on Saturday in the ACC championship. No, yeah, it's tough, but to look for it more on that Texas side, because I do think it's a great point. If they would have played Louisiana Lafayette, if they would have played Grambling State, if they would have played Charlotte, who Georgia played a few weeks ago, instead of the team who's been ranked number 1 in the country, every single ranking for the entire season, they'd be in the college football playoff right now. They would. 2 things I want to say about this. Number 1, it sucks because this is going to be, if they do get left out, and I do definitely think they will get left out, there's just too many, undefeated, 1-loss, 2-loss teams in the country right now that are going to be ranked ahead of them. There's too many. There's no way they were at 16 this week. There's no way they jump all the way to 11. There's just no shot. And if it happens, then I'm wrong. The precedent that this sets is, why on earth would you want to play an out-of-conference huge game anymore? Why would you want to? And it's fair. It's fair. I'm not going to sit here and tell Texas fans and the Texas staff and players, no, you should still definitely go out and play Ohio State. Because if they had an opportunity to rewind the clock a few years ago when they made this scheduling and they scheduled Ohio State, they would say, nah, we're going to take on Grambling State this week and we're going to get a win and we're going to go on. So it's tough for college football because this is the fear of the playoffs, right? That is going to make these regular season games not as important anymore. Well, this is on the flip side. It's going to make them too important where you don't want to play these big boys. And why on earth would you?
Mm-hmm.
Just play your SEC schedule a couple cupcakes throughout, and see what happens.
The Signetti way.
They are getting penalized by playing probably the most anticipated game of the season at the beginning of the year this year. And my response to, Sark, obviously he's going to politic for them to get in and whatever. You should have beat Florida on the road in the middle of the season, middle of their worst season in years and years and years. And none of this would have been the conversation. Like 10-2 Texas after beating A&M and handling the rest of their business, and that like they got 2 losses to Miami or not Miami, Ohio State, and who's the other loss? Oklahoma. I think they got a good case.
They beat.
Oh, that's right, Georgia. I think they got a good case, but they're also being affected by the fact that there are some other 10-2 teams in front of them this year that are not going to get in as well. Like if Texas gets in and Miami doesn't, it's going to blow college football up.
Yeah. Or Vandy, or a BYU, or something like that. Like that, they don't really stand a chance. But I do think the argument is valid.
It's valid.
It's very valid. But I mean, 3 losses is 3 losses at the end of the day.
I just don't like him complaining about like, okay, well, we went out and played tough teams. Yeah, you played Florida on the road and lost. Okay,
you're a tough team, dude.
Yeah, okay, maybe that, I don't know what you saw. Maybe you just watched them just last night.
Yeah, I mean, they dominated those.
They did. Jaden Ball run the ball.
I mean, Florida beat Florida State. Florida State beat Alabama. Alabama beat Georgia. I mean,
yeah. I mean, what else do we need to say?
Georgia beat Texas. Texas lost Ohio State by 7 points. I mean,
we're close. We are close, boys.
Okay, Georgia beats Georgia Tech 16-9 on Friday afternoon. I don't think anyone saw the game going the way it did at all. I mean, you think about last year, you think about the way these two teams have been playing offensively versus defensively, and you figured we would just have fireworks all day in Mercedes-Benz. That was not the case. 1 touchdown the entire game. Thanks to Zachariah Branch just being a specimen with the ball in his hand, just to Absolute beast. I don't know what Georgia would be without him. The defenses came to play in this game, which as a Georgia fan, very nice to see. We still didn't have C.J. Allen, and we still played really well. Held Tech to 69 yards rushing. Haynes King really wasn't a factor in this game, so that was a good game plan there. Rough day for Gunnar Stockton. I was behind the end zone where I was sitting, and so I had some pretty good views of watching these plays develop. And that interception that he threw early in the game, very head scratching. Not really sure what he was. I would hope the ball maybe just went the wrong way. I don't know. It was very confusing what he was looking at. Had some lanes in some run game and had some rush lanes he missed. Had some passes that he just missed open receivers that I was seeing. So, I think he'll get that correct though going into the SEC championship game. He'll get better from that. Everything I've ever seen from Gunnar Stockton seems like he just improves after bad performances. So great to see Nate Frazier rush for over 100 yards. Josh McCray got going. Still not sure what's going on with Chauncey Bowens. Hopefully they're just keeping him healthy for next week. We're going to need him. Very ugly game. Hand up. I was pretty pissed drunk during this game, so I don't really remember a whole lot of it, but I went back and watched it, and and now I remember why I was probably so pissed drunk. There was nothing to watch on the field. I mean, there was not a lot going on. I don't know if it felt like that on the TV, but shout out Trip Moore.
Very boring.
Shout out Trip Moore, Mary Person, UGA alum. He was sitting about 5 seats to the left of me the whole game, and he was awesome to see. First thing he said to me was, what was the first thing he said to me? He said,
Is that about the deep shot party?
Yes, he said first thing he said to me, he goes, sorry I couldn't make a deep shot party last week. I was studying. So, and then we started talking about he started asking about stuff that we had said on the last podcast. So he was definitely a listener. So I know he's listening again. Good to see you, Trip. But yeah, Georgia wins 16-9.
Yeah, definitely a boring game. It's a boring game when I fire up Clash of Clans like midway through the third quarter of a Georgia game. Then I had to take a second. I'm like, dude, Georgia's playing Georgia Tech right now. What am I doing? Like the star bonus can wait. That it can wait for a second. But a little disappointing because listen, a win is a win. And we're finishing season 11-1. We're going to Atlanta again next week. Can't really complain too much, but it's a little concerning, disappointing because we've looked at the last month of Georgia football has been the best we've looked in since we beat TCU in the national championship. So I was getting pretty excited about this run. And then we go out there and Georgia Tech's defense, who last week on the podcast, I was talking about how bad they are. I mean, they were getting gashed by Pittsburgh. They got gashed by Boston College. And Gunnar Stockton throws for 70 yards and it's a 25 QBR in this game. That's not good. That's not good. A win is a win. We move. Let's turn our focus to Alabama, and then let's turn our focus to the college football playoff because I do still think this team has a chance. Chauncey is odd because he didn't play. I don't think he played at all against Charlotte, and then he doesn't get a carry today. And it's 50-50. On who's the better running back between him and Nate Frazier. I truly think I'd probably give Nate the edge. I love Nate.
Cash Jones at in that conversation. Come on, guys.
He is
For that 4th and 1.
Yeah, one carry for 1 yard. Big time to give him the rock. But a win is a win. To Georgia Tech, I told you all year that we weren't going to have issues with you. Now y'all are 9-3, missing the ACC championship game, not going to make the playoffs. Good luck in the Pinstripe Bowl.
I don't want to drop what the group chat went on about, but the dude just absolutely losing his marbles the other day and leaving the Pick'em group chat because somebody said, enjoy the bad boy mowers. Shout out Harrison. Price. Enjoy the bad boy mowers. Pinstripe Bowl. And the guy just completely crashed out. If he had a gun, he would have shot us. And that was last one of us.
That was
Dave. Okay. Well, Dave, listen, I get it, Dave. You try being 3-9, Dave. Try being 3-9 instead of 9-3.
4-8
season for them.
You were 4-8, dude. Florida went 4-8.
They get lost, and there's so many wins. I just can't keep up with them all. Only thing I want to maybe throw at you guys for this game. What if somebody steals this Georgia Tech game plan for defense? Is somebody else with better talent going to be able to replicate this performance against you guys? Maybe I don't think it'll be Alabama. I think it'll be in the playoff. Let's say you square up against an Indiana or somebody like that, which is already going to be a formidable task by itself. But if you have Gunnar Stockton go 11 for 21 and throw for 70 yards in another game, you're going to lose from here out.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it is a cause for concern because, talk about if that is Indiana or if that's Ohio State, if that's, Alabama on Saturday, we're not going to be able to hold those teams to 9 points and keep them out of the end zone the entire game. That's not going to be able to happen. We will lose that game. So yeah, it is concerning. It is concerning. What's frustrating is like, but Bobo also, like you talked about this last month, we've been so good. Bobo has been play calling his ass off for the last month or so. And I just did not understand a lot of the play calls. Nate Frazier was averaging 6.8 yards per carry in this game. We were gashing them. And then it would get throw on first down. Okay, incomplete, 2nd and 10. Try and run it, get 4 yards. Okay, 3rd and 6. Now we got to throw incomplete pass. Okay, we're punting. That sequence happened like 6 or 7 times in the game. And it just drove me absolutely insane. But I'm just hoping that Chauncey's all right. They just want to get him healthy. He'll be back on Saturday. Then we have Frazier and we have Chauncey. And that is going to completely change how defenses have to respect the run, because I like Josh McCray. He's our third back. He is our third back. He needs if we need to get like 2 yards, give it to Josh McCray because he's a big SOB and he can probably get those yards. But besides that, it needs to go to 3 or it needs to go to 33.
Yeah, it's a wash the tape away type of game for me. Mainly because, like I told you, I was washed the whole game. So I'm just ready to run it back in Atlanta. Not that excited. We got to play Alabama game, but we can talk about that later. Okay, let's talk about the game. Ohio State beats Michigan 27-9. Look, this game had some real life early in it. Michigan came out first play of the game, ran for like 35 yards, ended up getting a field goal, picks off Sane on the second throw. Gets another field goal, was able to get some big stops that at the end of the first quarter, Ohio State had the ball inside the 5 for like 8 plays, it seemed like, and they could not score. And then they had the false start. So it seemed like, Ohio State had Michigan on their toes, right? And then it seemed like as soon as they got that touchdown to Jeremiah Smith, which some were saying it's a touchback, I wouldn't disagree with you. They pretty much got going after that, and they just did everything better than Michigan after that. Michigan's offense is abysmal. It's been like that all year. I really thought they were down to their third running back. Their backup running back, Marshall, got hurt in the game. He kind of come back, but he wasn't the same. Ohio State was just great. Third downs, they were 10 for 17. Michigan was 1 for 9. Ohio State went on that third down, their third quarter. They went on a drive that lasted like 12 minutes, and it lasted till like 8 minutes less than the fourth. And it really was just kind of a knife, knife to the heart, twisting the knife, so to speak. Bo Jackson, a running back for Ohio State,
dude,
he made some incredible throws. Is it Bo Jackson?
That's right. Dude. No, when I first heard the name on TV, I had to
he made some incredible runs. That stutter step move he had at one point when he was in the backfield. Good for Ohio State to finally get the monkey off their back. That game against Indiana is going to be awesome next week. I'm just upset that Ryan Day didn't let them plant the flag. I was ready for some post-game theatrics in this one. This is what you watch for. The snow coming down in the third quarter. You knew there was going to be some fights going on. Michigan was holding down the end, and then I just wish that would have happened, but good for Ohio State to win this game.
Everybody got pepper sprayed in the ring.
Yeah,
right there.
Yeah. That was awesome. I forgot about that. That's awesome. Listen, we knew Michigan wasn't going to win this game after they were up 6-0, and the game could have been 14-0, 10-0, and the game would have been on its head, at that point. But Bryce Underwood was not effective. We were talking about Gunnar Stockton. Let's talk about Bryce Underwood. 8 for 18, 63 yards and interception. That's pretty bad too. That's not going to get it done. What?
He's also a freshman playing against the best defense in the country. He's not playing Georgia Tech.
Listen, I get that. But he still went 8 for 18 for 63 yards. He gets paid millions of dollars to play the game. We got to give him some sort of slack. Listen, also he's going to be great in LSU next year. That's a take. This offense all year has been kind of the problem, right? In these games that they're winning, their defense has had to do it all. And on Saturday, defense tried as hard as they could. Garrison was talking about that 7-play sequence where Ohio State was inside the 3-yard line and just could not get through. But the talent that Ohio State has, Cardell Tate, Bo Jackson, Jeremiah Smith, CJ Donaldson, Julian Sayin, it's just too much, to try and win a game by scoring 9 points. And that's at the end of the day, Michigan's offense just completely let them down, because this was, at least looking I'm not going to say it was winnable, but if they could have capitalized on a few opportunities, this game could have looked a lot different. A lot different. I want to talk about the Jeremiah Smith fumble.
You mean
That
the
is
catch?
the catch, the fumble, the touchback.
That should have been a touchback.
I don't know.
I think it was pretty obvious. He dropped the ball and then came back out with it out of bounds. I mean, I thought it was pretty clear. It was the whole reason they were looking at it, because they saw that happen. Now,
if y'all caught this in the game last night in the Iron Bowl, they're talking, and the guy, I forget what his name is, but like the SEC like on broadcast referee was like, yeah, I completely disagree with that call. It's tough because like if he would have dropped the ball out of the end zone, then it's like obvious, but like he was bobbling it. It probably is a touchback. A little hint for the viewers. Maybe listen for my deep thought later. Might have something to do with this ruling. But yeah, that's just I don't like. It's like when A.D. Mitchell did it a few weeks ago for the Colts. That was like, yeah, it's a touchback. But like if Jeremiah Smith does it, and like he doesn't have control, but he at least has it like in his vicinity, it makes it a little bit tougher to call. I don't know if I've ever seen it called that close. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was. If that's a touchback, talk about the game on side of its head. All of a sudden, like the whole first half, just nothing going right for Ohio State. Caleb,
and it's on fourth down too. Like even if it wasn't complete, like it could have just been no points on the board. And yeah, Michigan's still sitting up 6-0 with the ball back. But I went back and looked at my notes that I said about this game, and I said that they need to open up and throw it in the air. Okay. And the explosives to Carnell Tate and Jeremiah Smith are the difference in this game to me. Finally got to see something out of Julian saying on live TV that, hey, this guy's pretty good at quarterback. He can still play great. And also, by the way, I'm tired of this narrative that Nick Saban played him on the practice squad or redshirted him, whatever. He literally enrolled at Bama and left in like 3 months. So don't know what that whole shtick is. Maybe it's just a TV bit. I don't know. But anywho, he never had Julian saying, let's just get that out of the way. He's an Ohio State kid now. And the guy plays ball. And so does Bo Jackson. Bo Jackson looked good running the ball. I'm really struck, though, out of all of this. Like when I watch Michigan, where are their receivers? And I know they've got 2 or 3 of them out there on the field. I'm not saying that, they're playing with 8. They're not playing 8-man football. They're just not good. And this is a program that has just as much money and resources as anybody else in the country. And look, I understand that those Florida boys that run fast don't want to go up north playing the cold. I get it. Jeremiah Smith didn't say no to Ohio State, and that ain't that far away. They've got to bring in better pass catchers and be able to threaten Ohio State because, to me, go back and think about the last couple of years of Michigan games. Like last year was just a smash mouth. Both teams just wanted to basically 3 yards from a cloud of dust. Years prior to that, though, Jim Harbaugh was throwing the ball a little bit now to some of these guys. Okay. And that's kind of faded away out of this game. So they need to get back to that. But it's always good to see snow on the ground for this game.
Yeah, no, it was very cool to see how it started coming down. Okay, let's talk about the Iron Bowl real quick. Alabama 27, Auburn 20. Stop me if you've heard this before this season. Bama had to make a game-winning drive to win the game, and during that drive, they put their nuts on the table and went for it on fourth down. You've heard that a lot this year. I feel like that's been the identity all year long. South Carolina, Missouri, Vandy. Look, that's how they win, and that's a credit to them. Auburn, on the other hand, did exactly what they've done all year, and that is find ways to lose. I don't know how many drop passes there were, way more than 6 or 7, way more. But it was a lot. They lost turnover battle 2-0. They outgained Alabama in this game 411 to 280. Alabama was 4 for 17 on third downs. Auburn had more first downs than Alabama, but all game long they played with their food. From the penalties that they had, calling back touchdowns to the Cam Coleman fumble at the end, it was just bad football, and they had a chance to win it at the end, and just still with all of that. So it seems the identities of these teams played out in this game. Ty Simpson made some good throws in this game. He still seems a little bit off. Auburn did have pressure in his face pretty much all night long, though, so that probably had a lot to do with it. Bama learned how to run the ball all of a sudden, but now they've lost Jam Miller, it seems like, for at least a significant time. So I would expect to see the passing game for Alabama next week explode again. Ryan Williams, they kept showing him. He must be like in trouble or something, or maybe Jason Whitlock was like, right, just too gay. to be playing football right now. Alabama wins again, and they're going to SEC championship in the Iron Bowl, or they win the Iron Bowl, going to SEC championship.
Yeah, so
Man, Whitlock
interesting.
still got his fastballs, dude.
He never lost it, dude. Whitlock, the Jason Whitlock takes, especially like the political ones, are just so out of left field every single time. Yeah, so Bama didn't look great. I mean, I will say the 4th and 2 call, I was sitting there watching it, and it did kind of like puzzle me a little bit because like I would have just kicked the field goal personally, gone up 3, all right, defense got there and make a stop. But Auburn killed themselves all game. They finished the game with 9 drops. They fumbled the ball 3 times, and then they had that one interception. I mean, just bounces right off the wide receiver's hands and right into the breadbasket for Alabama. That was, they were in field goal range. That could have been huge. But man, Auburn really got it going because like you look at like the first half of the game, for the most part, they had Ashton Daniels kind of playing like a statue, like 3-step, 5-step drop in the pocket and throw it. Towards the second half, when they actually got the ball moving, they were rolling Daniels out, using his legs, designed quarterback runs. And at that point, Bama could not really stop Auburn's offense. Like you said, they had 460-something yards of offense. I think that's what you said. So, yeah, it's disappointing to see how it ends. I mean, Cam Coleman just running around with that ball like a loaf of bread with less than a minute left. Infuriating me. Like, go out of bounds. Just get the ball, get out of freaking bounds. And let's keep playing. That was frustrating. Cam Coleman, I think, also got hurt in this game. Like he did something, like he fell on a ball that Ashton Daniels threw behind him. And the rest of the game, he wasn't nearly as fast as he typically is. He's going to look great in red and black next year in Athens, by the way.
Cam Coleman, Mr. Alabama is going to leave Alabama for Georgia.
Kirby's already got him on the phone.
That's illegal. I'm going to report him.
But to say this about Auburn, and I think, shout out Harrison again for the second time. He said yesterday, he said if the point of football was to lose a game by less than 7 points, Auburn would be the best team in America of all time because they just do it constantly. A couple questionable calls that went Alabama's way, like that pass interference late in the game that got called on the drive that they wound up scoring was just, I don't know, like that was questionable, but probably should have won this football game. Yeah, I don't know if they should have won this game. They definitely could have won this game. There's no doubt about this. Because, like, we say, like, Alabama's rushing came alive yesterday, but then you look at the full game stats, and it's like, okay, Jay Miller, 15 carries, 83 yards. Like, on Alabama standards this year, that's really good, but is that really, like, that crazy? Daniel Hill, 11 carries, 39 yards. Okay, that's good, but not crazy. Ty Simpson, 10 carries for 31 yards. One of them was a 26-yard run. That's good, but it's not crazy. 38 carries, 158 yards for 4.2 average. That's good. And I'm not trying to say it's not. But like Garrison said, Jam Miller being out now, like that run game we saw last night from Alabama, I think you can kind of just go ahead and wash your hands, and they're going to get back to having to throw the ball, 50 times a game on Saturday.
Are they going to feel confident doing that, though? Like, I don't know how you guys thought he looked last night, but I mean, he looked great under pressure and was able to make the checks and all that stuff. Still seems a little off on a lot of things, though. Like, I don't know what happened to him. And also, by the way, nobody talked about it. Kind of got mentioned in the broadcast last night. He got his ass rocked and had to call a timeout trying to make an audible the next play to get a check in the line. He was dinged up. I hope he's okay in that department. And yes, Jake, you're right. This rushing attack, 38 for 158 out of Alabama, that is a they've been begging for that all year, but they didn't think they would get 19 for 35 for 122 out of Ty Simpson. Now, there were 3 touchdowns in there, and Ty Simpson was able to make plays on some of those running downs himself. There was a 4th and 1 that he did a sprint out, was able to juke his way to get a first. He got a buck sweep to the boundary one time out of empty and was able to get a first down with it. In fact, it was a really explosive run, probably the longest of the game. It's really crazy how timeliness is just Alabama's best friend. You go look at every game they play this year. Go look at the Missouri game, for example. 4th and 5 at the end of the game. What do? Throw a touchdown. Okay. Georgia game is 3rd and 13 on average in that game, like 15 times. They convert 12 of them or something crazy. It was insane. This week,
the Vandy game, they had it put away, and then they scored a touchdown with like no time left to just basically make it a 2-score game. They've been doing it all year long, and they found their way to Atlanta. Georgia, Alabama again. Golly, that hurts. That hurts.
No, I want it. I hate
everybody
that
wants
Garrison.
it.
Cut that out. We want them. We should have beat them in Athens. Okay, if Taylor makes that catch, we beat them in Athens. I want them. I'll see him on Saturday. Another stat for you. Everyone was talking about how bad Kirby Smart is against Alabama. Well, Kirby Smart's undefeated in the second game in the same season that he plays against Alabama.
Facts, 1-0. Okay, let's talk about a couple other games real quick. Ole Miss obviously beats Mississippi State and is going to the playoff. Crazy, the Egg Bowl is a little crazy in terms of like they stole Trinidad's jersey twice, and then that Lane Kiffin got in that reporter's face for calling him a hoe. So that was funny. Gotta love it. Texas Tech smokes West Virginia to basically clinch their spot 49-0. Oregon beats Washington 26-14, clinches their spot. Oklahoma survives against LSU 17-13. They seem to have a spot in the playoffs as well. I don't have very much confidence Oklahoma doing anything once they get to the playoffs, but I think they're in. Notre Dame wins against Stanford 49-20. They're seen it there. And BYU beats UCF 41-21. They're playing the Big 12 championship. Miami handles Pitt 38-7. Vandy beats Tennessee 45-24. Tennessee, let me tell you this stat. Finished the season. They beat one team with a winning record, and that team was Eastern Tennessee State. They did not beat a single team, FBS team, with a winning record. Just a stat for you. Virginia beats Virginia Tech 27-7. California beats SMU 38-35. That one's significant because if SMU won, they were going to ACC championship. Instead, to talk about the conference championships, we have the Big Ten, Ohio State playing Indiana, 1 versus 2. It's going to be awesome. Georgia obviously playing Alabama, which we've talked about. And funny enough, Get College Game Day announced they're going to go to the SEC championship instead of the Big Ten championship, which I thought was pretty funny considering it's literally 1 versus 2. But when Georgia Alabama played earlier this year, they decided to go to Penn State, Oregon. So I think maybe they're trying to, make sure they get to at least one of these matchups. Or, maybe it's just because they have the game on their network and that's probably more their speed. And then BYU is playing Texas Tech, like I mentioned. I think it's interesting. I don't think there's any really chance BYU wins that game. And so I don't think BYU is going to make the playoffs because of how everybody won pretty much in the top 10. I would find it interesting, like if Texas Tech lost that game to BYU, who's getting knocked out? Notre Dame? That's something. And then Virginia's playing Duke in ACC championship. So the nightmare scenario of Duke winning the ACC is still alive.
Need it so bad.
And so they're like, if Duke wins that game and it's 8-5, there's a real scenario. They are not one of the 5 highest ranked conference champions because you've got Tulane and North Texas that are going to play. Tulane's already ranked, and James Madison is 11-1. And if they win the Sun Belt, they'll be 12-1. And some would say that James Madison would probably be ranked over Duke, but probably not. Probably
think they will be. If they win the ACC championship, I don't think that'll be enough to get them in the top 25. They're 8-5 at that point. They're not getting ranked. They're not just going to be like, okay, well, they won the ACC. Let's bop them into the top 20. There's no chance. There's no chance. Duke will not be a top 25 team.
I'm with you, Jake. If they go in and like Miami and Vandy and all them other teams get to sit in the house, the system's broken, tear it all down.
Yeah. There's no shot. There's no shot. The only chance that the ACC has to get a team into the playoff is if Virginia wins, Virginia has a shot, or if something happens and then Miami is able to get back in the top 12 and they get in. That's the only chance.
My thing is, if I said it last night in the Pick'ems chat, if you were not in the top 10 starting this weekend already, and you're not playing next weekend,
done.
You're done. Miami, Vandy, Utah, like all those teams sitting on the Texas, like all of these teams sitting on the outside, you're done. Your season's over. Like you're not going to the playoff. There's no way. And I don't want to hear the whole Alabama loses the SEC championship and they're out of it. That is just pigs will fly before the SEC runner-up gets left out of the playoff after what we just saw with SMU last year. There is no chance. I promise you, for you people that think that, the SEC will succeed from the college football playoff if that happens. It will happen. No, 100%. It will 100% happen. They will not let that happen.
Yeah, that'd be outrageous, especially just like the token point you talked about is get SMU leaving them in after they lost their conference title game in ugly fashion as well, by the way. Yeah. There's no way in the world that Alabama gets put out. Now, I will say, I'm kind of rooting for it to happen just so we can see the haywire go on afterwards. But it will be bad for football. It'll be bad for the sport, It'll be bad for going forward because that's going to basically be the springing jump board for them to say, well, if you had 24 teams, then you wouldn't have to worry about this. I mean, they'd already automatically be anyways.
Yeah, man. Okay. Well, with that, Caleb, give us our updated rankings going into conference championship weekend.
So finally got a little shakeup at the top. And funny enough, there's a little bit more shakeup than maybe some others expected. So here we go. Number 1, Ohio State. Shocker. Number 2 is Indiana. Shocker. Number 3 is now Georgia in honor of Texas A&M moving back. They are the number 3 team in the country, and Texas Tech is number 4. We all are in unison there. Okay. This is where it gets a little wonky. All of us were different. Oregon's number 5. Texas A&M is number 6. Ole Miss is number 7, and that's probably my fault because I moved them way back. Oklahoma is number 8. Bama's number 9. Notre Dame's 10. Virginia is 11, unfortunately, because we have to. And then Tulane is the group of 5.
So, dang, Oregon's 5. So I think I had A&M 5. I had A&M, Ole Miss, Oregon 5, 6, 7. What did you have?
Again, I had Oregon 5, Ole Miss 6, A&M 7.
I had Oregon, A&M, and then Ole Miss.
How about that?
Yep. And I'll just come out flat out and say I'm doing this because Lane Kiffin's not coaching them. And I think Lane Kiffin's one of the better offensive coaches in America.
Yeah. And I'll also say, so I assume both of y'all put Virginia at 11. Yeah. I put Miami just because the ACC just boggles my mind. I just have ramen noodles for brains when it comes to just figuring out who the ACC team is going to be. Because I guess Miami doesn't have a chance, but like they are the best team for the ACC. I think that's settled.
I know it's so ridiculous that it seemed like they had everything they needed to happen to go to the ACC championship yesterday, and somehow Duke is in it. That's something. Let's talk about Thanksgiving NFL games real quick. Packers beat the Lions 31-24. All I can think about in this game is how Amon-Ra St. Brown went down early, and it seemed like the Lions offense can't survive without him. They already were out Sam Laporta. Also, the pass rush on Goff was crazy all day. Michael Parsons had 2.5 sacks. Jordan Love had 4 passing touchdowns, dropping dimes all over the field. The 4th down conversions, they had one for a touchdown early in the game, the one to win the game. Electric. Another loss for the Lions on Thanksgiving, and the Packers stay alive in the North. What did we think about that early game on Thanksgiving?
Well, Thanksgiving's just not the same when you can't start it with a Lions loss. Really sets the tempo for the day. But, it has been some time since this game. But, like, looking back, I agree with you. Amon-Ra getting hurt completely changed what the Lions offense looked like because, they were going to Jameer a lot. David Montgomery had a touchdown this game. And then, like, Jameson Williams was, like, their number one target, which was nice for fantasy because I remember last week I was talking about he had 0 points, and this week he had like 25. So that was good. But yeah, the Lions got some problems because now they're at 7-5. They're out of the playoff picture. A big win for the Green Bay, trying to keep up with maybe the hottest team in the NFL. The Chicago Bears now won 9 of 10. So this was a huge win for Green Bay. But yeah, I mean, Michael Parsons was just all over the place in this game. And just all over the place. He hit Jared Goff so hard, I think he died at one point. What did the Falcons just do? The Falcons just lined up Felipe Franks at quarterback and ran a sweep to Tyler Algier. Arthur Smith, you can kill the idea of Arthur Smith, but you can never really get out of it. 3rd and 1, they had Kirk Cousins lined up at fullback.
Fullback? Was he in the 3-point stance?
Did like the quarterback, 2 fullbacks split out like in the B gaps, and then Algier, and yeah, that was interesting. Not sure about that play call. Not sure about that.
Get back on track with analysis of the game here, though. That's insane that Kirk Cousins is playing fullback. Jahmyr Gibbs getting balled up this game was the most shocking thing to me. Like, I fully expected him. Obviously, he went off like last week. He was not going to replicate that, but to hold him under 100 total yards was shocking to me. Thought Jared Goff played pretty well. Still looking somehow for more consistency, I would say, out of Jordan Love. Like, he makes plays, and I get it, but like, in the open field, he needs to be better. I think he's really good in the red zone. They need to continue to build on that, and their running game looks good. Look, Detroit's going to have to do a lot of catching up here pretty soon to have any kind of hopes and dreams of winning the division. Because not only we're going to talk about this game in a second, but Green Bay beat them, and now they own the tiebreaker over them plus a game. They're up a game and a half technically with the tiebreaker, but also the Bears ain't losing. So they've got some soul searching to do, I think, on both sides of the football and try and get this thing right. Also, I don't know if you guys, and I've called on this for weeks now, that Dan Campbell was calling the plays for the Lions, but it just doesn't feel like he's just a really good play caller. That's just me.
He ain't Ben Johnson.
I don't think he never, to me, has like the rabbit out of the hat kind of play. Like, he does call some of those double passes and stuff, but they don't really work.
Yeah,
when he calls them.
Yeah.
I just find it odd.
I do think they're losing injuries, which you saw a lot. Remember last year, the Lions seemed like they were losing every defensive player. Seems like a lot of their offense is getting lost now. They had that one guy, the offensive lineman, Bragnow, I think is his name, was supposed to come back and then failed his physical. So they're just losing everybody left and right. Okay, Cowboys Chiefs, incredible game, back and forth. Shout out to George Pickens, just had himself a day in every which way. The hurdle, spin move, whatever you want to call it, that was a great play. So the Dallas offense gave Kansas City trouble all day long. And listen to this, guys. The Chiefs had 10 penalties for 119 yards. Maybe that contract with the black and white stripes is officially ran out in the Chiefs kingdom.
Yeah, I mean, they had that touchdown to Travis Kelce on like the first or second drive of the game get called back. Like, yeah, it's like you can retire the whole like the Chiefs like blood magic that they had last year, and the Chiefs, are paying off the rest. You can retire all that sentiment. And I want to get this started just by clarifying a take I made last week, and I just want to get this out here. I am not rooting for the Chiefs to make the playoffs. Okay, I'm not like hoping for that to happen. If I had a choice, they're in the playoffs, not in the playoffs, I'm going to choose for them to be out of the playoffs. Just so that is clear. Harrison, that clear? Caleb, that clear? Clear? Is that clear?
I don't know if I heard that one clearly.
I just wanted to say, if they do find a way to make the playoffs, I'm not going to be like pissed off about it. I'm just going to be okay, whatever. The Chiefs are in the playoffs. Let's sit down. Let's watch Patrick Mahomes, because Patrick Mahomes is great. Okay, let's also get that clear. I enjoy watching Patrick Mahomes play quarterback sometimes because he's a great quarterback.
That play he made,
watching good football.
That play that Patrick Mahomes made late in the fourth, when he was like falling down and jumped over and just threw it, that was.
He's great, and Worthy should have scored on that play also.
I wish he would have. I had any time.
He should have scored a touchdown. But yeah, man, Cowboys are dang good, man. CD got going a lot in this game. Pickens got going in this game. Dak struggled a little bit early, but he played a really good game. They're able to run the football. We were just talking about Micah Parsons. Listen, I know Jerry Jones has got a lot of slack throughout my entire life of how he's ran this team. I think he leveraged that Micah Parsons trade pretty well. With the pieces they have gotten, and then adding Quinnen Williams, at the trade deadline, having these picks now, I think it worked out. I mean, like, obviously you would like to have Micah Parsons there, but if you're not, he's done a pretty dang good job at getting maximum value out of what he could have gotten. So, Cowboys Super Bowl, it could happen.
Okay, well, you had me until that right there.
Who's to say they don't get hot? I'll
say this: the Chiefs, I mean, their path to the playoff is very tough right now. I mean, they're 6-6. It's not. I mean,
they need to win out or lose like one game, because they don't like I said, they don't, like I said last week, they don't have that tiebreaker over the Jags, who they play the Titans today. There's a good chance the Jags get their, but they're the 9th or 10th win of the season right now, and they're still a wild card team. So they got to compete with them. Yeah, it does not look good. It does not look good. They need to win out.
They've got to beat Denver on Christmas Day. That's going to be like the hinge game for the rest of the season. Obviously, they've got, like you said, they got to take care of business against the Texans and the Chargers, and they're going to the Titans and the Raiders before and after that Broncos matchup on Christmas Day. So it is not out of the realm of expectation. However, it's pretty damn close. Just want to know if you guys knew that Jadeveon Clowney was still playing football, and if he was playing for the Dallas Cowboys, and did you catch on to the fact that he had 2 sacks the other day? Like, was their probably best play and performance on defense?
I did not. I had zero clue, actually.
It was shocking me, and that's the only way I knew it. I saw Brian Schottenheimer's post game, him talking about who did what, how many catches, yards, he was like, Clowney, 2 sacks, and then everybody clapped twice, like, Jadeveon? That guy? He's in the league, huh? Okay, but I'm with you, Jake. I think that he's put together this defense to be pretty decent despite losing Micah. Like, he turned Micah into Quinnen Williams, Jadeveon Clowney, and Logan Wilson at linebacker pretty much what you do, and say what you want to, those 3 together are probably just as good as Micah by himself, I guess, overall in terms of value for your defense. So, and they also did not have to pay him, $40 million a year. So there's that. Dallas making any kind of action in the postseason to me would be very shocking. I just don't find them to be consistent enough to be able to survive the rest of the season going down the stretch. But very thankful that they did their Thanksgiving tradition and whoop up on somebody that we needed them to. Because I don't want to see the Chiefs in the playoffs, unlike some people in this podcast.
I just said that I don't want them to see them in the playoffs. I just said that. I just want to give a quick shout out right here to Logan Azell, one of our listeners. Actually funny. So at the Deep Shot party, Logan and Davis, 2 of my fraternity brothers, they had a competition. They were like going through their podcast, like saying like, I've listened to 20 straight episodes of Deep Shot Sports all the way through. He's like, and then Davis was like, well, I've listened to 25 straight. Just going through it. So like, love to see that happen. But Logan gave me some good advice. He said, if you want to be a successful podcast, there's 2 avenues you can take. You can be big on the Dallas Cowboys and love them, aka the Skip Bayless route, or you can go the Stephen A. Smith route and just hate on the Cowboys. I'm choosing to go to Skip route for the rest of the season. I'm going to be big on the Cowboys, and I'm going to hope they make a run because I do like this team.
Right. So you ready for the Yankees to start playing baseball too, or what?
Yeah, and the Lakers,
All right. Let's talk about the night game. Bengals beat the Ravens 32-14. Joe Burrow is back, and you could tell because the Bengals not only looked good offensively, but that defense gave the Ravens all they could handle. The likely, and I'm talking about Isaiah Likely here, fumble touchback, huge momentum killer for the Ravens. It seemed like they were going to take a big lead there. And I've been telling you guys for a couple weeks that Lamar and this offense does not look that great, and they just played the worst defense in the NFL and still didn't look great. So there is some major problems in Baltimore. And for Cincinnati, that has to feel so good to see Joe Burrow come back and the team get lifted up on prime time. And, they play the Steelers twice, I'm pretty sure. They play the Ravens. I mean, they're only technically, 2 games back right now? Don't say never with Joe Burrow and the Bengals.
It's going to be tough. This is another team. Like, if they even want to have a chance, they have to win every single game. Like, because look at that Bears game. Like, if they miss the on one game, look at the Bears where they let Colston Loveland go for like 60 yards on like the last play of the game to beat them. Just keep that game in mind when the Bengals miss the playoffs that game. Okay. I'll be honest, I did not watch much of this game. Stranger Things season 5 came out that night, and I watched the last 3 episodes of Stranger Things instead of watching this game. Just hand up on that one. Probably not the best podcast duty to put Stranger Things above this game, but I was checking in on it, and the return of Joe Burrow, seemed to be good. Jamar Chase got going a lot in this game, but the Ravens have problems that I'm not even sure like where they start because it looks like it starts at Lamar, and that's like a hard idea for me to get my head around. Like one of the best quarterbacks of the last 5 years is the problem with this offense, but he does not he looks like not slow, but he looks slower. He's not making these remember that spin move he made in Cincinnati a few years ago? He's just not that guy anymore. And the Ravens have been playing this game of not ever giving Lamar Jackson a really top of the line wide receiver. And I think they tried hey, you got Xavier Worthy, you got 80-year-old DeAndre Hopkins, go make it work. And I think it's starting to catch up to him. Derrick Henry is a step slower than he's been in his career. I don't know, got some problems.
It's very funny to think about the Ravens and the Bills right now in the year where the Chiefs are terrible by their standards. And instead of the Ravens and Bills taking advantage, we've got the Broncos and the Colts.
Yeah.
And the Pats. Come on now.
The number 1 team of the AFC, sorry.
Really good for my fantasy purposes to get Joe Burrow back on the Dynasty League, especially where it's coming down to the wire in Division 1. A lot of people in Division 1 talk. Division 2 people say Division 1 stinks. All right, but Division 1's won all these championships in this league since it ever was created. Don't know where that comes from. But in terms of the game, Yeah, I didn't really watch too much of the game. I was just locked in on other stuff going on. But I tell you what was comedy was that post-game interview. I don't know if you guys saw that where the guys, they were out there serving the turkey in the
Yeah.
midst of her, like, asking all the questions, and, like, there's just one dude that was spitting all over the mic, like, getting
Yeah.
turkey leg just
Yeah.
all over this lady. It was hilarious.
It looked like he was eating the driest turkey of all time. He could barely talk. And then Joe Burrow was like, "Yeah, I don't want any of that turkey." He's like, "I don't know who made it."
They made it where it's been. Yeah. I want to try just real quick before we start talking about the NFL on Thanksgiving Day. Have y'all ever tried a turducken? It's like the thing they do every year.
I've never.
I haven't
turducken?
either. Yeah, I haven't either. I don't think many people have, but I think next year for Thanksgiving, like I'm going to demand there be a turducken there because I really want to try that. It's got.
Dude, you need to, if it's Thanksgiving, you talking about up here, like around the 478 area? Because if so, we might need to have a deep shot taste test
on the turducken. That'd be
Next deep shot party, we'll have one. That's what we'll do. Okay. And then Black Friday game, Bears beat the Eagles 24-15. I didn't watch a second of this game. It was turned into a Georgia Tech game. But the best running offense in the NFL stayed hot. Swift and Monajay, however you say his name, ran for over 125 yards. Also, just the biggest thing in this game, A.J. Brown scored 2 touchdowns, had over 100 yards receiving, and they lost by 2 scores. So
don't
do
matter,
with that
fantasy
information
football.
as you will.
I mean, his fantasy managers are really pissed off that they traded him about a week ago, from what I hear.
A.J. Brown was all smiles after the game. He's like, "Who cares if we won? I got 2 touchdowns." That's all. That's all.
All right, let's get into the Sunday slate in the NFL. If you're watching on YouTube, we changed locations, or at least I did, because had some things to do. So we've been multitasking, recorded some earlier today, some now. So just know that's how dedicated we are. But I'll tell you a team that's not dedicated to winning. The Tennessee Titans. They lose to the Jacksonville Jaguars 25-3. I was going to say 35-3, but 25-3. Is that a scoregami? 25-3? I'm not sure. I'll have to look that up. Jake, tell me about the Jags, though.
I'll say this, Garrison. If it's not a scoregami, it's got to be maybe 2, 3. There's not many 25-3s that you're looking at throughout a NFL football schedule. But I mean, I'll say this, dude. The Jacksonville Jaguars, as of today, as we're recording this podcast, with the Colts losing, which we'll get to later, the Jaguars are the number 3 seed in the AFC, and they are leading the AFC South. Huge game on Sunday, as well, with the Colts coming to town. So this is a good win, because I know, like, looking at it, okay, the Titans are 1-11. They're 0-7 at home. Like, this team sucks, but this game was never even close. And then you can look at the last 2 games for the Titans. Say what you will. I understand they're the worst team in the NFL. They lost to the Seahawks by 6. They lost to the Texans by 3, and they lost to the Chargers by 7. Their last 3 games, they've been competitive. And for the Jags to go into town and blow them out, Trevor Lawrence did not turn the ball over. They weren't really able to run the ball very well, 27 carries for 70 yards. But the defense just went absolutely off today. Really good showing. Still, like, Brian Thomas Jr.'s first game back, he only had 2 catches. Looks good for the Jags. I mean, the Jags look better and better every single week. We watch them. Huge game on Sunday.
But that is big. That is big. The Jags, I mean, it seemed like a month ago we were talking, at least you were saying, because you've probably watched more Jags football than anybody I know, that this team maybe not that good, and Trevor Lawrence maybe not that good. And you think they've just flipped the switch?
I mean, it seems like they have. I mean, you go back to that game in London where they just got absolutely boat raced by the Rams. Really, since then, it's been pretty good football. Outside of that one quarter in Houston where they gave up 31 points and inexplicably lost that game, the Jags been playing really good football. Am I saying this team's going to win Super Bowl? Absolutely not. But, they still have another game against the Titans. They have 2 games against the Colts, and they also played the Jets, plus going on the road to the Broncos. This is a team that should be in the playoffs. This should be a playoff team, and I think they have every opportunity to win the AFC South. I don't know the exact amount of years, but the Colts have not won in Jacksonville in like over 10 years. Like, they just never win this game. So if they can take that game, then boom, they're up 2 games in the division, then beat the Jets, then it's Broncos, Colts, Titans to finish the season. I think they can win the AFC South. I think so completely.
Yeah, it's good for your friends that you said you had a lot of people that you knew they were going on the road to this game. They got their money's worth this round. Seeing them make plays. And look, it started early too. Like Jacksonville, if I'm not mistaken, they recovered like a kickoff fumble or something like that. And then 3 plays later they score. And that's like what you said about it. They never got behind from that point. It was just, it kind of rolled. Still seemed a little underwhelming of a day on offense compared to, I guess, what you would desire to everybody not be able to run the ball over 100 yards. I don't believe you want to be better than that. going forward. And you're not going to be able to beat teams other than the Tennessee Titans very often by showing that performance on offense. So, like you said, they got a bunch in front of them. They got to handle business, but it's good to handle business on the road in the division no matter what.
Yeah. I will say this just in defense of the Jaguars offense, because, yeah, you're right. Like, just looking at it to a numbers perspective, it's not too impressive, but they did what they had to do to win the game, and they scored 25 points. I mean, 25 points wins more games in the NFL than it loses. Definitely. So their defense just has to keep playing. And that's what I was saying earlier. Like, I get it. It's the 1-11 Titans. I get it. It's not a huge win, but it's still pretty convincing. A 22-point win in the NFL, you never say no to that. You never say no.
Yeah.
Yep.
How missed is watching the game? How missed is Travis Hunter from everything? Like, do you notice him not being there?
Honestly, no. Honestly, not really. Well, what sucks is, like, he really didn't do anything on offense outside of like 1 to 3 catches a game until that game in London, where he finally had like 5 or 6 catches, had a touchdown, and then he's out for the season like the next week. So, I mean, he'll definitely be a good addition, like getting him back the start of next year. But talking about like the 2025, 2026 Jaguars, you really can't tell a difference. You really can't.
And by the way, no scoregami. It's happened 4 times before, most recently on October 24th, 2021. Okay, might as well talk about the Colts and the Texans here. You say in the AFC South. Texans win 20-16. I believe this is the fourth win in a row for the Texans. But the Colts, I mean, that's 2 losses, maybe 3 of their last 4 they've lost in general. So they're definitely mid-seasons. Everybody's maybe starting to figure them out. But the Texans, I mean, with wins over the Jags, they have a win over the Titans, the Bills, and then the Colts. I mean, those are 3 teams with winning records in the AFC. And nut crunching time, they've been getting it going into December.
Yeah, no, unfortunately they are. I mean, because also now you got to look at it. They have that tiebreaker of the Jaguars we were just talking about. So if the Jags do slip up in these games against the Colts or these games against the Jets and the Broncos and their other matchup against the Texans, and the Texans are right back in it. They were 3-5 not too long ago. With C.J. Stroud getting hurt, people were just writing them off. Better luck next year. But no, they've really flipped a switch, and C.J. Stroud did not play great today. Now, he played okay. Nothing, to write home about. The biggest storyline is Daniel Jones, 14 for 27, 200 yards, 2 touchdowns, so that's good. But starting to see Daniel Jones start to return to earth. They're not going to be able to rely on Jonathan Taylor to save them every single week like they were able to against the Falcons in Germany. So we're starting to see the Colts, get back down to human form. When they were 7-1 not that long ago. I mean, they looked great. But I feel like, at least I believe, and hopefully y'all do as well, like that we kind of knew that the Colts weren't some juggernaut that they were looking like. And eventually it was going to all come back to a median.
I will say this, the AFC South, 100% not a 1-team race right now.
No.
It is a 3-team tight race, Caleb. So tell me what you think about the Texans and Colts here?
I mean, I think the Colts come back down to earth when JT comes down to earth. Like, Jonathan Taylor's run game has been kind of bleak the last 2 or 3 games, and I think that directly affects Daniel Jones in the play action game, be able to throw the ball downfield. And obviously the Colts really don't have great receivers, but when you shred them on the ground, it makes a huge difference. And look, they can live with 4 yards of carry with Jonathan Taylor, but that's not what they're looking for out of him for sure. They want to see some pop, some explosives. And look, the Colts didn't turn the ball over today. They just didn't score points. Like, they punted a ton. And the Texas defense is very highly rated on defense in every statistical category in the league. They're awesome. They're going to travel, and it's not going to get any worse. And I'll tell you this, too. Better watch out for Will Anderson and some of them awards at the end of the year, because he is playing like a madman on their defense.
Yeah. I think the Texans have the number 1 ranked defense in the NFL right now. It's them and the Broncos and like everyone else.
They do. Okay, let's talk about the Atlanta Falcons and the New York Jets. Jets win 27-24. Hand up. I did bet on the Falcons today when it was 7-7. I bet -1.5. I thought that we have to beat the Jets. We have to. And as someone who watched the game because he bet on it, it's hard to blame the coach in these situations where we had 2 opportunities to go on game-winning drives in the final 2 minutes. We got the ball twice in the final 2 minutes, and we just could not execute plays. It was no Drake London obviously is a huge thing. Darnell Mooney, balls are dropping off his hands. There's miscommunication between him and Kirk. Davis Sills, he is when he's the number 1 guy, we got issues. I don't know. It's just I'm not, I haven't really been this sad about a Falcons loss, mainly because I just haven't put any money or investment. But this one hurt because I really thought we had a chance, and we missed another field goal today, and the Nick Folk field goal to win the game at the end was like it squeaked in that little hole in the corner. But anyway. Yeah, Falcons lose again, 4-8. That was the one chance because, I got Jake to do the soundbite last week. If the Falcons beat the Jets, are they back? Well, the Bucks and the Panthers did win today, and we'll talk about that in a second. But it did seem like for a second, like everybody was going to be 6-6, 5-7. Like, I'm going to Tampa next Thursday for the game. And I was thinking, like, wow, this is going to mean something. It will not mean anything.
No, it's not going to mean anything. I truly think this is the lowest point as I ever remember being a Falcons fan. I don't think it's ever been worse. I don't think it's ever been worse because this is a team that we actually had. I'll say this. Before the season, I thought we were going to win the NFC South. I thought we were going to be good. Those of y'all said that y'all didn't think they were going to be the NFC South.
Caleb said they were going to win the South.
Thought the division was bad enough that you guys had a good enough roster to win it.
Fair. But I'll say this to Garrison then. Even though you thought we weren't going to win the South, you thought we'd be better than 4-8 right now. And I think that's, even you rewind to when we beat the Bills on primetime, we did not expect to be 1-5, 1-4 since then. It's outrageous. And there's just no excuse for us to not fire Raheem Morris tomorrow. There's just no excuse. There's no excuse not to. I think he should go. Unfortunately, like, Kirk did not look terrible today. Like, did he look great? No. I think he's better than Michael Penix. I'm just going to say it. I think he's better. Like, what he has been showing the last 2 weeks has looked better than Michael Penix has. We are just in such an effed up situation as a franchise, and we need to fire everyone. We need to trade everyone. And I mean everyone. Everyone. We need to trade
James Pierce too.
We need to trade
first back.
Keep James. Well, James, listen, and I'll go to my grave saying this. The trade does get worse and worse every single week because now it's going to be a top 3 pick now. Like, and it's tough. James Pierce had a big sack today, and Xavier Watts is still a really good player. I think we killed the draft, truly. Like Billy Bowman tore his Achilles. That sucks, but Billy Bowman's a good player. Jalen Walker's a good player. James Pierce is a good player. Xavier Watts is a good player. But outside of that, like, Bijan's incredible, right? 23 carries, $142. Like, how are we losing with that? How are we losing? Bijan had 193 yards on the ground today. All purpose. 193 yards we lost.
You lose games like that when you're terrible in special teams. You muff punts, get them touchdowns, easy touchdowns. Yep. It's a terrible way to start the game.
It's just, I don't even know what to say anymore about this franchise. Because like Garrison, you said you're going there next Thursday. Well, I'm going up to Atlanta for the 3rd straight week on Sunday to watch the Falcons play the Seahawks. It's going to be fun. I'm going to have a great time.
I'm going into Raymond James with the intention of getting slammed. I mean, it's going to be a great Thursday night. Probably the best Thursday night since this past Thursday night, maybe. But yeah, I'm going to have a great time in Tampa. Go to the beach for the weekend. Maybe the Falcons win. I mean,
no.
Thursday night, primetime. Last primetime game of the year. No, actually, it's not. We had to play the Rams at Monday night.
Okay, listen, I'm just going to say right now, that game might get flexed. It might get flexed to like 9 a.m. on Sunday.
I watched this game in a Texas Roadhouse today at the very end just to see the meltdown occur. And I told my uncle at the table, I said, nobody wants to win. Like, y'all, there was three and outs in the last 2 minutes of the game. Never in my life have I don't think I've ever seen that, where you get 3 punts in the final 2 minutes from both sides, and they all had chances to go down and win the game, and just hands up until the Jets finally squeaked one in.
Yeah, listen, I'm gonna tell on myself real quick, and it is what it is. I don't really care what the reaction is, but when Zane Gonzalez missed that field goal, I started reading. I'm reading a really good book right now, Project Hail Mary. I started reading. I was like, we're going to lose. I threw in my earbuds, did some audio book, started reading, just checking in. Oh, we lost.
Like I said, the only reason I watch is because I bet the Falcons -1.5. And I watched the whole second half, I would say. Yeah. Which, not fun. Not fun. You watch the Falcons and Jets. You know what you're getting into, though,
In the rain. Last thing I'll just say, they have to fire Raheem. Like, tomorrow has to be
1,000,000%.
He has to get fired.
No chance
he probably won't, but he has to be. He has to be.
All right. Rams lose to the Panthers 31-28. I mean, think about this. The Carolina Panthers have become a formidable team for the Atlanta Falcons. That just never thought I'd say it. Never thought I'd say it. They beat the fucking Rams. The Rams,
Insane.
who have been the best team in football the last month. Matthew Stafford still has a couple interceptions, and that seemed probably cost them. For Bryce Young and the Panthers, they got a huge stop at the end of the game that basically won them the game. I mean, they're 7-6 right now, and the Bucks are 7-5. I mean, and I'm pretty sure they haven't even played each other yet. No, they haven't. So they both got to. They're playing each other twice left this season. So that's going to be a huge race as we get down to the nitty gritty. But that is. I believe the spread was 10 today. The Panthers were 10-point underdogs, and they went outright.
If you ever want to know how important coaching is in the NFL, you need to look at the Carolina Panthers. Because it's not like they added anything crazy. Like, sure, Rico Dowdle has come along and has been a lot better than a lot of people ever thought he was going to be. Sure. They drafted Tech McMillan, and he's been good, but it's not like he's some game breaker. He had one catch today. Yes, it was for 43 yards and a touchdown. That's huge. But he had one catch. The Panthers are just ran well right now. And as weirdly as I can put it, because they will probably look like ass again next week. And I just don't get it. I don't get it. I watch them with a lot of like a sour taste in my mouth. Like, how can they win, but we can't win? Matt Stafford, he turned the ball over 3 times today. He had 2 picks and a fumble. Had that late turnover to basically lose the game for him. I don't know if y'all saw Puka Nakua's catch on the sideline. Maybe insane. Devontae Adams played another good game, 2 tuds. It's an interesting one because I just never expected that this was even going to be a contest. I thought the Rams were going to roll in there and just absolutely smoke them. Maybe this is the NFL. You know, what did they say? Any given Sunday. Anybody can beat anybody. Any given Sunday.
Especially when the turnover margin is -3 for yourself. Like the interceptions and the turnovers that you're talking about, Jake, like they were huge. One pick, the first pick was in the red zone. The second one was a pick 6. Both of these were in the first quarter. So they were knocking on the door early and just completely took the win out of their own selves in the game. Like you said, they got down into the red zone, got a penalty, backed themselves up, took a sack. On the next play was a fumble as well, and that's how they turned the ball over in the game, and that was a game.
Monday night game that they just lost to the 49ers as well. They picked off Purdy like 3 times in that game as well.
They find ways to turn people over. I mean, that's one thing about what Jake's talking about. Like, they run well on defense. They create turnovers, and they scored a bunch of points. And some of that stuff was them like going for it on 4th down and stuff too. Like they threw a long explosive play to Tech McMillan for a touchdown in this game that was on 4th down.
Yeah. Wow. Incredible, the Panthers right now. I mean, you would think...
It truly is. It truly is.
You would think, what's their coach's name?
Dave Canales.
Dave Canales, probably up for Coach of the Year right now, you would think. I mean...
Absolutely.
Okay, Dolphins beat the Saints 21-17. I just want to say the Dolphins are 5-7 right now. So they have got on a run, so to speak. They've won their last 3, 4 of their last 5. Just good for them. That's a good win for the Bills. Bucks beat the Cardinals 20-17. There we go. Bucks beat the Cardinals 27.
Cardinals are frisky. I'm just going to say that the Cardinals are a frisky team, especially once they lose games. They lose a lot of games, but they lose them close. I mean, they had the Jags on the ropes last week. They went overtime against the Jags. I guess the 2 games before that, they lost 44.
Yeah, all without Kyler Murray.
22. They're a better team without Kyler Murray. Jacoby Brissett is like not great, but he can move the ball. He can move the ball.
Most completions in a game ever he had a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, for like the same amount, like less than 10 yards a catch for sure. Like 44 completions for 200 yards.
The ultimate check down merchant. Hey.
I just want to say this. I was so wrong about Baker Mayfield because I'm pretty sure last week on the podcast and I was talking about the Falcons have a chance to make the playoffs. I'm like, well, Baker's going to be out for like 2 to 3 weeks. Didn't miss a game. Did not miss a game. Stepped right in there.
Should have known, dude, with that guy. Okay.
Yeah. Last thing from this one. Sorry. Tristan Wirfs caught a touchdown pass in this game.
Wait, what? How did he report eligible?
He was I don't know. He was off the ball to the left of the tackle. I don't know, but it's a pretty sweet play. A little play action, dumped it off to him. Big man touchdown, thick 6.
Love it. I got to find that clip. Okay. 49ers beat the Browns, not by a billion, but by 18, 26-8. And the 49ers, that's another guy that's probably up for Coach of the Year, Kyle Shanahan. I mean, he's 9-4. I mean, the problem is he's 3rd in his division right now. But, I mean, the 49ers and Christian McCaffrey, we talked about it. He's been the star of the team, but they don't. I mean, Kittle's just now been getting back. I'm pretty sure they don't have like any of their best defenders. Fred Warner's out for the season, I'm pretty sure. But McCaffrey, I mean, he doesn't even have a big game. He only has 74 total yards. And they really don't even have that explosive an offense, but probably because they're playing the Browns defense, which is really good. But the Browns offense also not really explosive today.
I will say I am impressed that the San Francisco 49ers only gave up 1 sack during this game. I think that is a testament to the coaching that Jake's talking about. Like when you see some things in the box score you need to notice, that's it right there. This team had 10 sacks or something crazy last week, and to turn around and go to 0 or 1 for 7 yards, not even a big loss either. Pretty impressive. Chris McCaffrey still had 25 touches in this game too, by the way.
That one sack, Myles Garrett, he made Trent Williams look like a JV player. Like, yeah, that's good. You kept him the 1 sack, and that's awesome. That one play in particular was pretty awesome. If y'all come across that clip, just watch it. It's pretty awesome.
All right. Seahawks beat the Vikings 26-0 in the Sam Darnold revenge game. Sam Darnold didn't really have that great of a game, though. He had like 1 fantasy point today. Thanks. But who had a worse day than him was Max Prosper, who was the quarterback for the Vikings today. He threw 4 interceptions and was sacked 4 times.
Shout out Drew King. Drew King told me just a minute ago that he picked him up and spent, in a dynasty league, $50 on the auction for this guy. And he got negative points this week. And he started him.
He put 50 bones down on Max Prosper. What is
he said all his quarterbacks are hurt. Every last one of them.
God, that's a rough spot to be in. Okay.
4
and then
picks. Dismal stat line. He would have had a better passer rating if he would have spiked the ball the whole game.
I love when that happens, like 2 or 3 times a year. That's just such an awesome stat. It's an awesome stat.
It is. Bills beat the Steelers 26-7. Josh Allen, number 1 in quarterback rushing touchdowns with his 76th career one today, passes Cam Newton for most in NFL history. The Steelers were up 7-0 in this game, and then pretty much nothing went right for him. I think Aaron Rodgers got hurt again because Mason Rudolph came into the game.
And was terrible.
Yeah, I mean 0 for 3 with no yards and an interception. So
I mean, Rodgers was pretty bad too.
Yeah, it wasn't great. Pittsburgh's offense, like I don't even think DK Metcalf was the only guy that had a catch in the first half out of receivers. Like everything else was to running back, check down, tight end stuff. The story of the game is how many yards they ran for. And for my fantasy purposes, Joe Brady can go he needs to go pray tonight. He needs to go do something, or forgive me, send me a card. Why does James Cook have 144 rushing yards and no touchdowns? What are we doing? He gave the ball to everybody else on the goal line, but the guy that got him there.
The Steelers are done. The Steelers are done.
You think so?
I think Aaron Rodgers might be washed. I think it's time.
It could be.
This
might be the year they don't go above 500 first time.
They'll find a way, dude. They'll find the way. Well, here's the thing. That's what I was talking about earlier when we were talking about the Ravens-Bengals. I mean, the Steelers and Ravens got to play each other twice. And the Bengals don't play the Steelers anymore. It doesn't look like according to the schedule. But
they do play the Bills next week.
The Bengals do?
Yeah.
So that's going to be a tough one. But you never know, dude. Bengals could find their way over there. I don't know.
Pittsburgh's also got to go to the line still.
I'm just trying to make it spicy. And then wrap it up here. The Raiders lose to the Chargers 31-14. Shout out Brock Bowers, though, 2 touchdowns today. The Raiders, I don't think, let's look at the rest of the Raiders' schedule. They haven't won a game in a really long time. They have the Broncos, Eagles, Texans, Giants, Chiefs. They win a game the rest of the season?
No.
Probably not. Did you guys see any of the report about Chip Kelly wasn't even calling his own plays? Talking about Raiders?
He was calling them wrong or something. He was calling he didn't know the play calls, or he was saying them wrong or something.
That's bad.
Also, I want to shout out myself for getting on this before the season. Ashton Genty, just not the year for him in fantasy. Or poor guy. I mean, he's just rough situation, but I mean, he doesn't really get the ball enough, and when he does, he just can't do much because they're a bad team.
Well, he just gets slammed at the line every single time he touches the ball. It is a bad situation. The only takeaway I have from this game is Justin Herbert broke his left hand today. So tough because that
why Trey Lance was in the game?
Yeah, I think he finished off the game, but I mean, he'll probably miss some time. That sucks for a team that just got to 8-4. They're just about to get Amari and Hampton. Amari and Hampton is going to play next week. And boom, okay, your franchise quarterback just broke his hand.
Yeah, and they got they have Eagles, Chiefs, Cowboys, Texans, Broncos to finish the season.
Listen on nursing back to health. It'll be fun.
I was seeing like a bunch of people on Twitter, like the Chargers Twitter, like was getting like basically wanting to fire Jim Harbaugh. I was seeing a bunch of that like this past week.
Yeah, fire him. Bring him to Atlanta. Bring it to Atlanta.
I don't know. I was just telling you what I was.
Really? Who's better than him?
We're talking about Los Angeles football fans. They don't know as much as us in the South. Let's be real.
Fair enough.
They don't even sell out their own stadium. What fans are we talking about? It's away games. They play away games at home.
Or let's go into our players of the week here. Last week, Jahmyr Gibbs smoked the competition, which I thought was a little surprising, but he smoked it. And it's been a while since we've had like a close race in these players of the week. But the standings are now Caleb 5, me 4, Jake 4. I'm going to go on a limb and say that I know who Caleb's player of the week is going to be. But I'm go first according to rules because Jake won last week. Caleb has more points, so I'm going first. I'm going to give mine to a guy that's on a team that had a rough season, but he finished out really strong yesterday. I'm going to go with Katron Allen, running back for Penn State. He had 22 carries for 226 yards and a touchdown. Averaged 10 yards a carry, another 2 catches for 12 yards on top of that, but carried the Penn State Nittany Lions to a 6-6 record. They finished the season with 3 straight wins to get them bowl eligible. Some people are saying, we haven't really talked about Penn State a lot, but there's some mummers around that. Well, first of all, if Kalen DeBoer would have lost yesterday, apparently Penn State was hot on Kalen DeBoer, but now I'm seeing some Josh Heupel stuff to Penn State.
Whoa.
I've been seeing some reports.
I saw that.
So just putting that out there, but I'm gonna go with Katron Allen for player of the week.
My player of the week this week, I'm gonna give Caleb, his guy. I thought about taking him, and I had the second pick. So I could, but I'm gonna do the guy a solid, and I'm gonna pass on him and give him the win this week most likely. I'm gonna take Diego Pavia. He did turn the ball over twice, both in the first half, but that man came absolutely alive. 18 for 28 of 28. 268 yards, a touchdown. Also 20 carries for a $165 and a touchdown. I'm just going to say this about Diego Pavia. I hope he wins player of the week this week. It would be awesome. This guy deserves a shot. He deserves to be in New York. Vanderbilt deserves to be in the playoff 100,000%. So my player of the week this week, Diego Pavia. Big win.
Yeah, that was. I wanted to pick him, but I picked him so much and he just keeps losing. So I wasn't going to do it, but I hope you win just out of spite. But Caleb, who you got?
It's obviously Jaden Ball. That's my player of the week. I'm so shocked that neither of you picked Bijan Robinson still. Like he's right there. It's cherry pick. I feel like that's an easy pick, but I respect your game. Go with Jaden Ball. 38 carries for 266 yards, 2 touchdowns, ran all over Mike Norvell. The guy that I'm thank you. As from Gator Nation, thank you for extending this guy. Give him another chance. Run it back with the rivalry again, another year or 2, maybe 3. I know it's expensive to replace him. I know they had a lot of yards this year. The broadcast would not stop talking about how Florida State was top 15 in yards on offense, but they are way not outside of top 15 in points. Wonder how that works. But Jaden Ball handled them the other night. I would give him the props for us being able to win that game the other night. I mean, it got to the point where they were just snapping it to him.
He was awesome. That one was easy to see coming.
Very scared he's going to be gone in the portal. Tom Raw, if you're listening, brother, you better keep him. I just want 13. You can let 2 go. I want 13 back.
He's going to look great in red and black.
Him and Dallas Wilson both better be in Gainesville next year.
Just like ETN. Speaking of portal, you guys see the Dylan Raiola stuff?
Is he hitting the portal?
Yeah, apparently, like his brother decommitted from Nebraska.
I saw that.
And then apparently there's huge murmurs that he's going to be going to the portal, which, I mean, who could have seen that coming, huh?
I got a trade for him if they really want to listen, though. I mean, I'll hear him on an offer. I got a quarterback they can have. We can just swap him out.
Also,
he's going to go to Texas Tech, ain't he? He's going to Texas Tech. Follow Mahomes.
Oh, my God, dude. He's so doing that. That's so funny. Oh, my God. I didn't even think about that. There's also murmurs about Jared Curtis, like, officially going to flip to Vanderbilt here soon, which this is why you just don't get excited about commitments, people. You just don't get excited. And like I said, we're recording this a little later, so the Lane Kiffin stuff has gotten a little hotter throughout the day. If you haven't seen the video, they are booing him. They were booing him as he got onto the plane in Oxford, which good for those people because at this point it is rough. And Pete Golden was announced the head coach for the Ole Miss Rebels.
Yeah, not even the interim. Like, he's the guy. Like, he's going to be the coach.
So. I feel like that was kind of assumed that was going to happen regardless if Lane left, though. Like, they weren't going to go on some nationwide search. They had the guy already in the building. Going to be really interesting to see how the offense looks or who's doing what and running the show on that side because I'm if I'm correct, 8 of the 9 top assistants on the offensive side for Ole Miss got on the plane today.
Okay. All right, and let's get into our deep thoughts before we get out of here. It seems like Jake and Caleb may have the same one, so why don't we tag team it to start here, guys?
Okay, so Caleb, I'll say the first word, then you say the second word, then I'll say the third and fourth.
Okay.
What my deep thought was going to be, and I want to see if you are exactly on the same line as me. There was a discussion in the text thread the other day about the Isaiah Likely fumble out of the end zone. I feel like every time this happens, people are like, "Oh, that's the worst rule in football." Like I hate that rule. I think it's a good rule. I think it's a good rule, and I'm ready to stand 10 toes down and say like this is. If not, it's a good rule. I think it might be one of the best rules in football that if you fumble the ball towards the end zone, the other team gets the ball because number one, well, really the only point I can really come up with in this one to support it, the end zone is a sacred place, right? Is a sacred place and it is important and it's where the biggest games are decided. And if you can't control the ball when you are going across the goal line and it goes out the end zone, you should be punished. You should be punished, correctly for that. So I'll open this up for discussion. If any of y'all disagree, or if you disagree, I want you to come with an idea of what is the alternative. Do they get the ball at the 1 yard line? No, that can't be the decision. I saw one idea. It was like, we'll make it a touchback. You get the ball at the 20 and then you lose it down. So if it happens on second down, you get the ball at the 20 and it's third down. I still think that's stupid. I think the end zone is a sacred place, and if you mess up near there, you should be punished accordingly.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think it's a great rule. I saw the one guy that said that on Twitter, and then somebody quoted and was like, just look at what his bio is. And he was like, sports betting and data analyst, blah, 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 blah. I was like, oh, yeah, the guy that probably lost money wants it to be changed. But yeah, no, I totally agree. Caleb, was that the same stratosphere as yours?
Yeah, but I was going to unveil maybe a solution because I do think the rule unjustly penalizes the offense, and I really think that's the case because if you fumble the ball in the field of play outside of the end zone, it goes out of bounds, you retain possession. It's the only situation where you do not. And it would be different if it resulted in, safety or something like that, but no, it's just a touchback for the other team. You get the ball. I just find it to be a little awkward. So my solution is put the ball at the 25 and say it's first and goal automatically. Don't matter what distance it is. Put the ball at 25, first and goal.
Man, I get what you're saying, but it's the end zone. This isn't just fumble the ball out of bounds. This is the end zone. This is where you go to get points. If you turn the ball over down there, I don't know. I do. There is a part of me that understands like where these people are coming from. Like, yeah, it stinks, but like my brain just automatically goes to the Georgia Tennessee game from like 10 years ago where I forget what it was some like odd name. It was like Squirrel or something. He fumbles out of the end zone, Georgia wins. And I feel like that's just, I don't know. I just feel like it's a good rule. I feel like it's a good rule. You should be punished differently for fumbling in the entire point of football is you get the ball and cross the goal line. That's the whole point, right? You should be punished if you can't do that correctly and you fumble the ball. If you fumble out of bounds, you fumble out of bounds. The ball's dead, it's gone. But the end zone just should be treated differently.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I just find it to be very underwhelming or under-delivering when an offense goes on an 80-yard drive and they got a guy reaching for the pylon to score a touchdown and the ball comes out. And then all of a sudden, whoop, man, this other team's ball. Like, you don't get nothing?
Hold on to the ball.
Yeah, hold on to the ball. Hold on to the ball. Don't fumble. Don't fumble at the point where the entire goal of your game is to get the ball there. Don't fumble it.
Well, I think what, NFHS or whoever the governing body for rules and stuff is for this, they need to come out and it would help to describe to people why the rule is the way it is, in my opinion. Because even I mean, I've been around football for 20 years now. I don't necessarily know a good reason. Like Jake just came up with whoa, an end zone is a special place. Like, okay, well, yeah, I understand that. It's where you get 7 points or give up 2 or, all the other stuff. But why was the rule put into place? Like somebody must have done something to make them say, oh, wait, well, we got to fix it. It's kind of like the tush push to me. Like people want to fix the tush push because it's a clear advantage for the other team. Why did we give them a touchback for fumbling through their end zone as they try to score? I would just like to know some answers on that.
All right. Well, I will finish up here with my deep thought. And it's really just, I've been thinking about the whole season that we've had as college football. Obviously, this wraps up. The regular season is over. And, it seems like it just went by so fast. And I just want, again, this is probably more of a question to you guys. But in terms of since you started watching college football, where would you rank this season in your lifetime? Is it a top 5 season of all time? Did you guys feel the juice this season at all? And I'll give
I
you
mean,
my
yeah,
answer after.
I definitely felt a lot. Like I talked about this last week or the week before. Like talking about one of my main fears of the 12-team playoff was going to be that regular season games don't matter as much, and I feel like that is kind of out the door. Like these games do matter an absolute crap ton. I'd probably put it top 5. It's tough because there have been some bangers. Like I remember that 2007 season where Kansas was ranked number 1 in the country. Like that was, I was 9, so I don't really remember it that well. I'd probably put it in top 5. Probably would. I will say, I feel like this is the best year of the college football playoff. Of all of them combined, maybe that first year where Ezekiel Elliott, Cardale Jones took Ohio State to the national championship. That was
I was
special.
about to put that one up
That
against
was
it. I think
special. It's tough because college football just bangs every single year. But yeah, I mean, for the argument's sake, I'll say it's top 5.
that's hard for me. Okay. Are we talking about just as a fan or as like for your own
What
personal
you've
interest?
seen
'Cause
from what you've seen all year, from the kickoff in Columbus, Ohio, with Texas to the end of the Iron Bowl last night. Like, I mean, personally for me, I feel like this was one of the most electric seasons, and it's mainly because Georgia was winning games in ways that were just breathtaking each and every week. But it just seems like, the whole thing about, now everybody can pay everybody, these teams, it's so true. Like, other than Ohio State and Indiana, which, you can have your own argument about why they just beat everybody the way they do because they don't play anybody. But, like, it is just week in and week out. It feels like seeing Vanderbilt the way they are, BYU the way they are, Texas Tech the way they are, all of these teams that just Virginia that are finding a way. Like, it just seems like even 10 years ago, we were never there. It was always like, you think about that 14 college football playoff, there's not a lot of teams that were featured in it. Like
no,
Clemson, Alabama, Ohio State, Oklahoma, Georgia, Michigan, LSU. Like, those were the teams that were featured in that playoff each and every year. And then Michigan State got in there once, like those things happened. But it seems like now it's just so
Cincinnati.
fun. And it seems like this season, the amount of parity and the amount of like fan bases that are involved, as much as it pisses me off to see BYU fans on the internet arguing that they should be ranked above Alabama, it's just something that I used to never see before. And I love that is where we are at in college football. So that was kind of just my thing. I think it's been one of the best seasons in a long, long time.
I think I would agree with that, dude, honestly. And just all the storylines, like you can go in any conference and look at like, okay, Clemson's dismemberment. You can go look at Bill Belichick and Jordan Hudson and that whole situation. Texas Tech coming out of nowhere, throwing tortillas. Coaches almost get into a fight because they find a pocket knife on their sideline. Come to find out it's from their own team's pocket knives. And then also too, like I think the big brands that have clashed, like Michigan, Oklahoma, Texas, Ohio State, Georgia, Texas, those games wouldn't happen. Texas Tech, BYU doesn't happen 5 years ago.
Yeah, it's been awesome. Okay, well, that will wrap up episode 33 for Deep Shot Podcast for Jake and Caleb. We will see you guys in a couple weeks, preview championship weekend and week 14 of the NFL. Thank you guys so much for listening. Make sure you subscribed on YouTube, following on Instagram and TikTok, and we'll see you guys soon. Deep Shot out.